Muy buenas tardes, muchas gracias a todos por acompañarnos nuevamente en una edición del Research Challenge. Esta es la número 12. Ya tenemos experiencia, igual los nervios están a flor de piel como si fuera la primera vez. Este año nos acompañan 4 equipos que hicieron unos reportes espectaculares. Yo tuve la oportunidad de verlos. Los graders en su momento nos dieron la devolución y señalaron que año a año van progresando, año a año la calidad educativa empieza a empujar un poco más para arriba, para adelante, y eso se va notando en los productos que van saliendo de las diferentes universidades. Hoy tenemos el gusto y el placer de que nos acompañan alumnos de la Universidad Argentina de la Empresa, de la UADE, de Universidad de SEMA, la Universidad Astral de Rosario. Trajimos chicos del interior que los van a poder estar viendo acá exponiendo. Esta es una competencia que nuclea a toda la Argentina. Este año participaron universidades de Córdoba, universidades de la provincia de Buenos Aires. Estamos hablando en tratativas para que se sumen de Rosario, de Mendoza, de Salta, de Jujuy. Años anteriores también participaron universidades de Uruguay, de Paraguay y también de Bolivia. Es una competencia que va creciendo y que, de la cual estoy muy orgulloso de formar parte. Por último, también nos están acompañando, como ya es costumbre, la Universidad Torcuato de Itela, que quiero mencionar que el año pasado hicieron una competencia fantástica a nivel internacional, llegando a eh, la final regional, que fue una instancia que por primera vez un equipo argentino llegó. Dicho eso, quiero ya dar inicio a lo que va a ser muchas gracias, este año en la competencia, y arranco con lo que es la presentación que tengo detrás mío. Este año, para empezar, quiero agradecerles nuevamente a las empresas que nos acompañan, que creen en esta competencia y que hacen posible que estemos acá reunidos, los chicos, los profesores, los sponsors y del otro lado todos los que nos están acompañando. Esos son AlphaCast que nos ayudaron con la capacitación de los chicos, que les enseñaron a programar y a consultar sus bases de datos en una plataforma que nuclea cualquier cantidad de datasets. Yo tuve la experiencia de utilizarlos, se los recomiendo porque es muy útil para el trabajo diario en lo que es finanzas. Nos acompaña también Banco de Valores, que nos presta las instalaciones, esta sala preciosa donde estamos reunidos por segundo año consecutivo. Nos acompaña Mega QM, que es un fondo común de inversión que nos acompaña en todas las actividades que hacemos, en nuestro sponsor global a lo largo de todo el año. Nuevamente Criteria, del cual formé parte de este año, y estoy muy orgulloso de decir que nos sigue acompañando esta iniciativa educativa. También es una LIC de la ciudad de Buenos Aires que tiene exposición en todo lo que es el Cono Sur. Y también nos acompaña Refinitiv este año, que nos proveyó bases de datos y para que los chicos puedan capacitarse. La competencia. Siempre como empecé agradeciendo a los graders, a los sponsors, el siguiente paso es agradecerle a los graders que son un pilar fundamental y a veces quedan un poco menos visibles. Estamos haciendo todo el esfuerzo para que tengan el reconocimiento que se merecen. Entre ellos está Steve Novak, Álvaro Rosenbluth, Lucas Silveri, Santiago Wesenack, Juan Alonso, que no tiene el coma CFA, pero este año ya lo está sacando. Mica Mesadra, una amiga y también que sabe de acciones un montón. Fer Simet, que es de CFA Society Uruguay y nos da una mano. O sea, la cuota internacional la estamos aportando de ese lado. Juan Troncoso y Mario de la Quintana también, que nos aporta la cuota internacional siendo miembro de CFA Society Argentina, pero radicado en el país de Bolivia. Muchísimas gracias a todos, muchísimas gracias por el esfuerzo de corregir los reportes. Es un año muy arduo, muy complejo y sé que les llevó tiempo, sé que también lo disfrutaron y sin ellos esta competencia sería muy difícil de realizar. Voy a cambiar de botón. Quiero comentarles un poco cómo es el formato del evento, cómo hacer lo que a las 2 horas más o menos a las cuales estamos por enfrentar. En primer lugar está esta introducción donde voy a tratar de ser lo menos aburrido posible y lo más rápido de pasar esta parte. Voy a estar repasando cuáles son las reglas. Los chicos ya las saben de memoria, se los hice leer en varios idiomas también para que no haya dudas al respecto, pero esto es más para los televidentes y para los jueces que nos están acompañando. El orden de la presentación lo sorteamos con los capitanes de los equipos de manera totalmente aleatoria y transparente, donde el primer equipo se llama Team Lucho, va a estar exponiendo. El segundo equipo se llama Equipo A. El tercero, en el orden de participación, se llama Respeto y Conciencia Colectiva. Y el último equipo, llamado Team 1, es el orden de los equipos en el cual van a estar pasando. Perdón, creo que tuve un... Team 1 va tercero y equipo A cuarto. Ahí está, ahí disculpen. Y respeto, segundo, disculpen, ahí tuve un tema con los nombres. Después vamos a tener un momento donde los jueces van a estar deliberando, charlando, ultimando los detalles sobre sus puntajes sobre los equipos. Y por último vamos a estar anunciando a los ganadores y después invitándolos a comer y a tomar algo, a relajarnos. En el medio, entre los anuncios y la deliberación de los jueces, voy a estar hablando con los sponsors que nos están acompañando, con Paula, que nos acompañó toda la competencia del lado de Bioceres, un esfuerzo también formidable para que esto pueda ser realizado, de parte de Criteria y de gente de Banco de Valores también, agradeciéndoles el espacio. El siguiente agradecimiento ya es a los jueces, a las 4 personas notables que tengo acá adelante. Tengo el placer de conocerlos, tener un gran cariño por ellos. Paula Bugia, que es una profesional de las inversiones. Años pasados fue grader y este año quería que tuviera la experiencia de ser juez. Gracias a Dios me dijo que sí. Después tenemos a Mati Kremaski, que también tiene experiencia como grader y fanático también de Bioceres y de la competencia, la sigue bastante. Nico Max, que por segundo año consecutivo nos acompaña como juez, ya tiene experiencia, va a poder guiarlos un poco a los debutantes y es director de Asset Management en Criteria. Mati, perdón, es el CIO de Delta Asset Management, otro fondo gigante acá de Argentina. Y tenemos la suerte de contar con Mariano Calvilo y con un typo ahí en la presentación, que es el head de Portfolio Manager de los fondos de FIMA. Muchísimas gracias a los 4, espero que disfruten la experiencia esta que están por vivir y bueno, nuevamente gracias por su tiempo. Los equipos, y acá díganme si puse bien los nombres, ayúdenme, pero quiero hacerle mucho foco en lo que son los nombres de los equipos. El Team Lucho está Mati Fernández, Darío Obregón, Luz Echeverri Borneo, Fede Tucio y Estefanía Puebla. La idea es hacer mucho foco en lo que es el desarrollo de cada uno de estos chicos que le puso su propio esfuerzo a la competencia. Por eso también vamos a ver sus presentaciones individuales y también lo que tienen para mostrarnos de sus trabajos. El equipo A, que lo conforma Kevin, te voy a invitar a vos a decir tu nombre más adelante, tu apellido, Juan y Santiago Vélez. Y tenemos en el equipo de Respeto y Conciencia Colectiva a Facundo, a Camila, a Miel y a Matías. Y en el Team 1 a Gonzalo, por 2, y a Francisco y a Federico. Y a Agustín, que creo que nos anotó, que va a estar por Zoom, pero no lo tenía en el registro de nombres. Bueno, hay que decirle a Agustín que se anote la próxima vez. Bueno, muchas gracias. La idea es que conozcamos los nombres, que sepamos quiénes son los chicos, pongámosle una cara a los reportes que están por presenciar. Un poquito de las reglas y ya voy a ir concluyendo. Son 4 equipos donde la empresa target es Bioceres Crop Solution, el ticker en Nasdaq es BIOX. Tienen los participantes 10 minutos para presentar, donde tienen que hacerlo en inglés. Tienen sus presentaciones y las han ido practicando. Después los jueces tienen 10 minutos para hacer preguntas sobre estas presentaciones y poder darle más color a sus notas, cómo van a calificar a los reportes. Por último, los ganadores van a surgir de la combinación 50 y 50 del reporte de las calificaciones que me den hoy los jueces y los reportes escritos. Es decir, lo que hicieron hasta ahora tiene un valor, vale la mitad. El que se destacó un pelín más en el reporte escrito corre con una pequeña ventaja para lo que es la parte final. Ventaja, obviamente, ganada por mérito propio. Los celulares, como les fui mencionando previamente, no los pueden tener prendidos. Además, se los pido que se los den acá a Luke, los jueces también, que los tengan apagados para no tener distracciones. La idea es que nadie tenga una ventaja sobre el resto de los participantes. Se los vamos a agradecer. Y mientras estén en la sala, les pido por favor que estén callados y escuchando a los alumnos que se prepararon para este momento. ¿Qué es lo que van a revisar los jueces hoy? A mis espaldas tienen la hoja que los jueces tienen delante de sí. Van a estar repasando lo que es análisis financiero, valuación, ESG, que es un tópico bastante en boga en la industria. A medida que pasan los tiempos, hay cada vez más bibliografía sobre el tema y se hace cada vez más relevante, tanto a nivel internacional y cada vez más se está permeando en lo que es en Argentina. Después tenemos la presentación siendo calificada propiamente dicha, 20 puntos también por lo que es el segmento de preguntas y respuestas, y se evalúa lo que es la participación del equipo y la calidad de los materiales que prepararon los alumnos. Todo eso forma parte de la evaluación final. No sale la hoja, pero bueno, en definitiva queremos agradecerle a Bioceres, que desde hace un año nos viene acompañando en lo que es el Research Challenge. Bioceres es un proveedor totalmente integrado de tecnologías de productividad de cultivos diseñadas para permitir la transición de la agricultura hacia la neutralidad de carbono. La compañía tiene una plataforma biotecnológica única con tecnologías patentadas de alto impacto para semillas e insumos agrícolas microbianos, así como soluciones de protección y nutrición de cultivos de última generación. Muchísimas gracias, Pau. Lástima que no está Vir acá también. Siempre estuvieron muy predispuestas para todos los eventos, para los conference call, para cada uno de para el kickoff también que se acercaron. Sin ellas esta competencia no sería posible, así que muchísimas gracias. Ahí está el logo. Y tenemos, por último, cómo sigue la competencia. El equipo ganador de esta instancia va a avanzar en una instancia subregional, compitiendo con las societies, con los ganadores de Brasil, de Chile, de Colombia, de Perú, es decir, una especie de sudamericano de Research Challenge. Avanzando una vez en esa instancia, tienen la semifinal regional, que por ahora sigue siendo virtual, va a ser el año que viene, a la altura del 13 de abril. Después tenemos, en el caso de pasar, como fue el año pasado con el equipo que representó a la competencia argentina, tenemos la final regional. Acá es donde hay dudas al respecto, es probable que sea presencial, por ahora es de manera virtual, más adelante se va a definir esa situación de ser presencial. Lógicamente el equipo ganador se trasladaría probablemente a Nueva York, donde tiene lugar esta final históricamente. Y la final global, esta sí es presencial, es el 22 de mayo del año que viene, de 2023. No tengo más para decirles. Muchísimas gracias. Así son las reglas. Le pido al primer equipo que va a presentar, que se quede, y al resto que por favor vaya a la parte de atrás, sin los celulares. El primero es el Team Lucho. Pasen adelante, chicos. Sí, Celu se lo puedes dar a Vero, por favor. Ahí, chicos, si pueden venir. Después la saludan, disculpen. Bueno, ahí está la cámara. Este es el ticker. Después, ahí paso por adelante. Sí, cuando digan ustedes.
What if we tell you that Biox's core business is not biotech? We are going to present our analysis and recommendation of Bioceres crop solution. After the valuation of the company, we estimate a one-year target price of $9.17, which represent a decrease of 24%, consistent with a sell recommendation. The recommendation is based on three pillars. The first one is that only 50% of the value of Biox represent a stable business through its subsidiary, Rizobacter. Remaining companies develop unprofitable biotechnological products that have a high uncertainty of success. Second, we observe a distortion between Bioceres' expectation and real achievements. Recently, the company has carried out a big marketing campaign on the consumption approvals of GMO seeds, but production approvals are still pending, which means there will not be significant change in cash flows. Finally, the seed sector, including HB4 project, has a small impact in the company, even if the best scenario for approval happens.
Biox operates mostly in Argentina and Brazil. Half of revenues come from fertilizers, inoculants, and pesticides. Despite intense M&A activity, reaching almost 30 companies, the business is mainly driven by Rizobacter, Bioceres Semillas, and ProFarm. The last two are biotech companies, holding long-term projects with high success uncertainty and recurrent losses. On the other hand, Rizobacter, the most important within the group because of its stable cash flows, commercializes phytosanitary products and fertilizers. It also has the production facilities and access to the local debt market. Over the years, Rizobacter has functioned as a financial support for the rest of the holding, financing unprofitable projects. Moreover, with 45 quarters of negative EBITDA, Marrone was acquired for $243 million with the intention of expanding Biox's commercial presence over the developed markets. Unfortunately, the company is still waiting for production approvals, which means that Rizobacter will have to support an unprofitable company with no revenue synergies in the short term.
To conclude, the company has an inefficient growth strategy. Although the revenue growth year over year, the cost structure does as well. On the other hand, as long as Rizobacter continue financially support Bioceres Semillas and ProFarm, lower EBITDA margin levels are expected. Biox's customer portfolio is poorly diversified. For example, almost 20% of the Biox revenue come from only 5 customers. The main cost of Biox are in Argentina. Due to the currency appreciation, we expect lower levels in EBITDA margins. Therefore, lower cash flow are expected in the mid-future.
Moving forward to expectations versus reality. Biox's marketing campaign on HB4 is outstanding. It's been so successful that we automatically relate Biox with HB4 products. But what's HB4's real impact in the company? If we analyze Biox's source of revenue, we will see that only 50% of it comes from selling seeds. Of this, only 4% represents HB4 products. HB4 is a GMO product. This means that it needs permits. There are 2 types of permits: permission for consumption and permission for production. This is a total food whole of soy and wheat in the world. But in reality, only these countries can consume HB4 products. If we take in consideration that Bioceres doesn't sell crops, but they sell seeds, then the real customers are those who have the permission to grow HB4 products. Therefore, only these countries could buy HB4 products. All in all, what we see is that HB4's image seems bigger than what it really is. Bioceres shows massive worldwide approvals, but the actual number of buyers remain low. While this persists, HB4's impact in the company revenue will remain insignificant.
According to Bioceres, the transition to a carbon-neutral way of agriculture is one of the main points of interest. Despite of that, reports or metrics regarding ESG are inexistent. 55% of Rizobacter products are chemical-based, despite of the sustainability view. Also, HB4 crops are usually treated with glufosinate ammonium, a very common chemical herbicide. Despite that these products could have attributes that are attractive to producers, from the ESG point of view and the mission of the company, this could be counterproductive.
As we can see, When compared to competitors, Bioceres does not pay enough attention to ESG metrics as they claim. When it comes to social, the only data available for analysis by the team were salaries and the number of women in management roles. As with any other ESG metric, Bioceres does not have a comprehensive report on corporate governance. Also, we identified that most of the directors are non-independent. As all in all, without an ESG report, all intentions of Biox of making agriculture sustainable end up being just that, intentions.
Well, the third pillar analysis consists on wondering what does the future hold for the company. The growth prospect for the company relies on expanding its market share through GMO seed approvals. For this, the team resort to a real option valuation to capture the relative impact that approvals have on the company's price. We designed a decision tree model to forecast the revenues on the main countries where an approval is expected. As we can see, the difference between approvals happening next year or in 2027 results in only 6.5% of the total target price. If we also consider the seed market that Bioceres already has, the final price for this model and so for Bioceres semillas is only $1.61. By using a real option valuation, we demonstrate that the future for the company holds nothing but a slight margin of uncertain improvement. Now, the real option valuation is one of the three main components of the sum of the parts approach that the team used to reach our target price. In second place, we resorted to a DCF model for Rizobacter, and considering next year's presidential election, we designed three possible macroeconomic scenarios in which EMBI and blue chip swap inputs change. Then, for the cost of equity, we apply a global CAPEM alternative to measure and to incorporate in the model the risk from the countries where Rizobacter operates. Last but not least, for ProFarm, the company that consistently shows losses, we decided to use a relative valuation. We resorted to an enterprise value over sales approach, and we compared it against 11 competitors in the fertilizers and agrochemicals category. This multiple was adjusted by the risk-free spread between the comparable market and Argentina. In conclusion, our sum of the parts approach shows us that Rizobacter's value is $7.11, ProFarm only 45 cents, and Bioceres semillas, including the prospect for approvals, is $1.61. The addition gives us our target price of $9.17.
Moving on to our valuation risks, we encounter four important issues. On the business risk, the seasonality is a normal problem for the industry. Bioceres tried to cap this exposure with many M&A investments that have opposite operational cycles. In spite of that, the steadiness of the holding revenue has not materialized yet. Even though we are going through warlike conflicts, which means that commodity prices have risen and soybean crops have reached historical prices, we stand still in our sell recommendation. Moving on to the reputational risk, how likely is an increase in GMO demand? According to the paper Analysis of GMO Food Products Companies, this is unlikely, since this would require a change in the customer's perceptions. Lastly, the major risk that we identified and analyzed is the approval on production in soybean producers' countries. However, as shown in the real option tree model, this would only mean an increase in $0.30, which represents 3.45% of the total target price.
In conclusion, we base our sell recommendation on three pillars. First, Rizobacter is the only stable business in the company. Second, Biox's star product, HB4, still needs to go through many production approvals. And third, even if all production approvals go through, HB4's impact on the company remains slight. Thank you for your attention, and we are open for questions.
Okay. ¿Tienen micrófonos? Bien. ¿Quién quiere poner pregunta?
Sí.
Vale, tenemos una presentación preparada para el planeta también.
Sí.
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 ¿Vamos a poner la presentación de vuelta?
Okay. Hay una slide que dice Q&A. Bueno. No, está bien, pasamos a la diapositiva si llegamos. Ahí está.
Empecemos con el tiempo, los 10 minutos.
Thanks for the presentation. I have one big question that is, given the difficult year we had in the markets, what do you think the market is reading incorrectly about Bioceres? And in that sense, what do you think is going to be the catalyst for the sell-off of the company to get to your price target? And last, and have you considered a best case for Bioceres that everything goes fine, you will still stick to your target price?
Okay, thank you for your question. First, with your first question, the first one.
Sorry, what do you think the market is getting wrong?
Yes. Well, we cannot know in what aspect the market is getting so optimistic. We think that clearly it's in the HV4 program because of all the marketing campaign. That's why we use some of the parts valuation to use a specific model for that part, the ROB model, and that's why we evaluate that really it's not so big, and there are a lot of approvals process to capture before a sell-off. So you need to pass a rigorous process to reach a better type price, and that's why we take a high case with the best scenario approvals in 2023. I mean next year. In that scenario, we said that the up in the price only be 6 points. So the difference is not so big to buy the company. It's getting a sell too. And the last one, sorry?
What do you think is going to be the catalyst? You can see what the catalyst might be. So the sell-off, the stock.
A possible catalyst for the sell-off, it's going to be the delay on the HV4 approvals for production. Without those approvals, the company can't generate cash flows.
I will go with the second one. So could you expand a little bit on the valuation section? And considering the company is showing double-digit growth percentages in the last years, why do you foresee perhaps no growth going forward? Or if I'm missing, what's your growth perspective for the future?
Okay. The double digits growth rates that we see in Biox are related to biological products. The biotech industry has big growth rates, but during our analysis, we encountered that Bioceres is actually a company that sells products for the agriculture in general, and most of its revenue comes from fertilizers, and the growth rates there are much lower. So if you take the marketing campaigns about HV4 products that have high growth rates, you will expect bigger growth in the company, but actually it's much lower.
Thanks for the presentation again. Have you incorporated in any way the the ESG factor into the evaluation of the company?
We evaluate the ESG factor in the governance perspective because we saw that the times that the company has they don't had the
Hi, thank you for your question. Well, the ESG aspect, we analyze it in a more qualitative, we did a more qualitative kind of analysis. However, for the real option valuation, we analyze the probability of approvals. Said approvals rely highly on environmental aspects, especially in countries where GMOs have more strict controls, and we incorporated those aspects in the real option valuation. So even though that we did a qualitative analysis on the ESG aspect, is incorporated in the real option valuation.
Hi, how are you? I would like to ask something about Paula says. What do you think that the market is missing here with Bioceres? What do you think that there is something that maybe your valuation is underestimating or something like that? And the second question is about the ESG again. How do you feel about the peers of Bioceres? We saw the slide there, but there is some kind of valuation or direct impact in your valuation from Bioceres?
I will start with the first one. For the, as I said, we think that the first point is the HB4 program because all the communications were so focused on that and the growth rates that the HB4 program is going to generate in the future. But as we evaluated, that those rates are relied in all in approvals, and that approvals are depends on probabilities that in our ROB model we demonstrate that it's so low the impact on the price because of the percentage that the revenues has, the 4% of HB4, and all the 5 years that we consider too.
Okay, for your second question, if I'm not mistaken, you're asking if we incorporated the ESG aspect in our valuation. Was that your question?
Yes, and how do you feel about the peers? You showed Bayer and something else.
Thank you. Can we go back to the slide where we compared Biox with its peers? The next one. Thank you. As we can see here, Bioceres announced last year in 2021 that they were going to publish an ESG report. So far, we have no data. So it was important for us, especially because of the kind of industry Bioceres operates, to have those ESG metrics, especially the environmental ones, because they are selling GMO products. GMO products are highly reliant on approvals, especially because they sell seeds, and we have to highlight that they sell seeds. So they need production approvals on several countries. So as we can see, these peers have GMO products, and they are very transparent with their metrics. However, so far we have no environmental metrics because these are the most important ones when we are analyzing the GMO products, and so far we have no data. And if we go to the Q&A slides, we have an example of how is a GMO production approval in Europe, and we can see that one of the first aspects that they analyze is the environmental impact of these products on their soils, and also for producers, they look for sustainability options. So yes, this is incorporated in our valuation in the probability of future approvals. Thank you for your question.
Thank you very much.
Yes, that also a fair point to consider is that Bioceres wishes to be shown as a very sustainable agriculture focused. So without having any consistent proof of their positive environmental effects of the products, it'll be very important for Bioceres to have a metric showing their environmental aspect in ESG, because without it, we cannot actually know if their products are focused to sustainability. So that's why we penalize it in that way.
Thank you very much.
Sorry, could we go back again to the valuation slide? And would you expand a little bit on the main assumptions, please? 10 seconds. Valuation, please. DCF.
Okay, for the DCF model,
Sorry about that, to interrupt. No more time. Disculpen. Muy bien, chicos. Les invito a ahora esperar. Estuvo muy bien, perdón por ser el malo de la película, pero bueno, ahí acaba de presentar el primer equipo, el Team Lucho. Ahora vamos a darle lugar al equipo de respeto y conciencia colectiva, mientras hacemos este intercambio de alumnos que nos estaban acompañando. Comentarles un análisis muy bueno, muy profundo de los alumnos. Los jueces hicieron preguntas muy profundas y fueron muy al grano. Ahora estamos dándole espacio a un equipo que tiene a dos colegas, a dos miembros del equipo participando a uno solo participando desde afuera. El equipo de respeto y conciencia colectiva. Si esperamos 30 segundos, que estamos poniendo la presentación y dándole lugar a la compañera que está con el punto técnico. Mientras, le pregunto a los jueces que aprovechen el tiempo para ir viendo qué puntajes van poniendo bajo la atenta mirada de los diferentes tutores, que se puede ver cómo están muy orgullosos del trabajo que hacen los diferentes alumnos. Cuando el equipo técnico me diga, le damos el inicio. Mientras les voy pasando el ticker para abajo, es que van pasando para adelante. Correcto. Para abajo pasan, para arriba vuelven. Probalo, por favor. Yo mientras me voy corriendo. Utilicen el micrófono. Le damos un más. ¿Está?
Funciona.
Esperamos un segundo que se está sumando Camila. Camila es la tercer participante del equipo. Camila se encuentra si no me equivoco, en Rosario. Por temas laborales no se pudo trasladar, pero sin embargo va a participar a través de Zoom. Estamos ultimando los detalles. Mientras aprovecho y te cuento, Pau, el año pasado hubo un chico que participó desde Noruega, así que la tecnología en ese sentido nos acompaña y da la posibilidad de que Camila pueda defender su trabajo en este año, así que vamos a hacer el esfuerzo. ¿Apareció?
Sí, estoy. No sé si me escuchan.
Muy bien.
¿Me escuchan
Perfecto.
bien?
Sí,
Hola.
sí.
Hola, sí, perfecto, Cami.
Bueno, vamos a la presentación y les cuento que Camila va a ser la voz que se escucha de fondo, pero es ella. Arranca.
Okay. Well, we are going to present our research for Bioceres crop solution. My name is Facundo Grossi. I'm with Matias Lucelli and Camila Laganca in the team. Well, Bioceres agriculture company is important in the industry because it has the patent of HSV4 technology. It's drought-tolerant seed for soybean and wheat, and has carbon neutrality for as a goal in its processes. With that vision, in March of 2022, it merged with a ProFarm company, pure player about sustainable crop solution and protection. The main portfolio of the company is crop protection that helps to the crops to reduce pests and the uses of active ingredients, crop nutrition that helps to grow the crop, and seed and integrated product that is basically the seed treatment and germplasm. Well, about the industry, agriculture biotechnology industry is having a big leadership nowadays because the necessity of the farmer to have a higher crop yield than as usual. This reason is driving for the growth population that involves more food demand and the necessity of more spaces for urbanization. Additionally, we have a climate change impact that affects on the crops. HSV4 technology helps to the farmer to reduce, to have a more crop yield, and additionally has resistance on the drugs. In terms of the growth market, the estimation is in average 14%. The sales of Bioceres, we estimated in average 27%. This growth is come from the selling of HSV4 technology. We are the only sellers for the patent until 2040. So the mix of the portfolio of the company tends to change in the future years. In terms of the EBITDA, we saw an improvement of the EBITDA because the seed and integrated product has a better gross profit than the other portfolio. Additionally, in terms of ProFarm fusion, one of the biggest issues that has this fusion is the SG&E ratio, that we saw a higher percent as net revenue. So in our estimation, we reduce the 6,000 basis point to try to drive the vision to in line to Bioceres as a synergy. Well, now we are going to ESG with Cami.
Okay, about ESG, we decided to analyze the three segments to determine our own team score, which is BBB. We focus in the environmental segment, which is one of the most important, as Bioceres design and develop HB4 technology that can have a really great impact in the environment. For example, they can reduce between 35 and 51% the yearly greenhouse gases emissions generated for the wheat production in Argentina, and only taking into account the use of HB4 technology in 3,000 hectares instead of the 6,000 hectares that are used for wheat production in Argentina. Additionally, Bioceres only invests in companies that have a green goal objective. For example, they have a 6% participation in Molecular Science, a company that develops vegetable protein. Do you know that raising livestock for human consumption can generate more greenhouse gases than transportation? That is incredible. Additionally, another example is the ProFarm merge that gave Bioceres the opportunity to own different patterns from different products that can help a lot reduce the global warming. For example, they have Bios Namaste seed treatment that can reduce between 85 and 87% the greenhouse gases emission from corn and soybean in comparison to another pesticides. Another Sorry. Okay. Another important issue is the social aspect segment. We focus in two programs. One of them is the Talent and Growth program that let young people enter to Bioceres to have the first job experience. Another program is the HB4 program that let a small and medium-sized farmer use the HB4 technology to multiply the seed, becoming partners of Bioceres instead of clients. In the governance aspect, we highlight 2 points. One of them is the fact that Federico Trucco is a very well-known businessman in the industry and is part of Bioceres since the beginning. So it's very experiment CEO. Last but not least, Bioceres is no longer a controlled company, which means that most of the board members must need to be independent directors. Thus gave extra security to shareholders. To summarize, ESG and especially the environmental segment with HB4 tech is very important for the future generation of value. It's very important for the future generation of value of the company. So now we continue with the valuation part with Matías.
Thank you, Camila. Okay, so maybe you're wondering why, how did our team reach to the target price that we have set at the beginning? So I'm going to deliver you the different valuation assumptions that we have made around the different methodologies. The target price is created by a 60% intrinsic valuation and 40% relative valuation. For the intrinsic valuation, we took some of the parts free cash flow DCF approach in order to separate Bioceres and Marrone Bio. Also, we calculated separately the different WACCs in order to maintain the difference between the Bioceres, the capital structure, and Marrone Bio pre-merger. As a result of the intrinsic valuation, we reached to a target price of $13.29, which represents a 10% upside for the actual stock price of $12. As you can see in the pie chart behind me, the 86% of that value is captured by Bioceres itself. We also try to measure the robustness of our assumptions for the terminal growth rate and the discounted rate in order to try to manifest if our target prices are being quite correct. So we have reached two different target prices, and most of them finish being over the target price, the actual stock price of $12. We also did a free cash flow DCF for different scenarios in which the bear one has reduced the revenues CAGR and the free cash flow CAGR as towards the current political measures that could affect Bioceres in the future generation of cash flows. On the contrary, the bull case has a better revenue CAGR and free cash flow CAGR towards the possibility of a new future political elections that could affect these revenues. We also created a relative valuation in which we divided the different peers groups by a business segment for crop nutrition, crop protection, and seeds and integrated products, and we arrived to different peers multiples in which we try to only keep the EV over EBITDA, as we believe it's the most important indicator of the company's performance. Moving on towards the investment risks, buying the Biox stock could have lots of risks involved.
Disculpen, el tiempo se cumplió.
Sorry.
Muy bien, chicos. Pasamos al espacio de preguntas cuando ustedes se sientan cómodos y los jueces también. ¿Me den esto mano? Paula, ¿querés? Arrancamos con los 10 minutos de preguntas.
In the valuation section where you put the bear, bull, and and bear case. What were the assumptions behind that? Did you make a case like saying the bear case is if this patent doesn't get approved here or there? I mean, what were the thinking behind the different scenarios?
Okay, I believe I could take this one. So moving again to the section of the different scenarios. Okay, the different assumptions taken for the bear case, we decided that a future possible outcome of the next year elections in Argentina could affect or grow the retentions that are the retentions that are set up by the political government. And the bull case is the scenario in which it's like the contrary, because we believe that if another like political government wins the elections, it may cause that the retentions and tax export will reduce, so this will affect the cash flows of the company.
So it's nothing to do with the patents or not patents approvals?
No, at the moment, we believe that the actual patents of HB4, that is our most important segment for the future forecasted years, the actual patents are already are already approved that it's going to generate the different cash flows that we have already calculated.
Sorry, Matthias, can I answer this one? Sorry. Okay, the patents from HB4 are approved in Argentina, Brazil, which are the main markets, yes, because they are approved for production. And that is why, and that is the most important thing. And other countries approve the HB4, but only for consumption. So the main markets that are Argentina and Brazil have the approved. So that is one of the more that country generate more of our revenues, our future revenues.
Vamos en vivo.
Okay. Great.
Bueno, está Camila. Está Camila, ¿puedo hablar
Sí,
también?
estoy, sí, sí.
Bien. Bueno, ponemos el reloj en 3, 2, 1. Vamos para adelante.
Okay, so highlighting the most important investment risks that buying a stock like Bioceres could be affected, it's the exchange rate regulations by Argentinian governments, also a rough combo of high inflation economy with future negative GDPs for Argentina itself. And also we wanted to highlight the possibility of the war development between Russia and Ukraine, as it would affect the wheat and soy market prices.
Okay, I have two questions. First one is, when you talk about ESG, you have something like team score, you have numbers. I would like know more about that.
Of course. I believe that Camila from the Far Beyond could help us.
Sorry.
don't
Okay,
know
the board with the numbers.
Yeah, our
Okay. We decided to use big data tech from CSR Cube to determine Bioceres and their peer score, additionally to our team score valuation, because there isn't any information about Bioceres' actual ESG score right now. So we believe that this was one of the only way to analyze ESG score from Bioceres and their peers, something that match, because I can find ESG score from the peers in Reuters, but there isn't any ESG score from Bioceres there or anywhere. That is why we decided to use this big data tech web.
Thank you very much.
I have a question regarding the DCF value. And what percentage of the DCF value is represented by the terminal value? What percentage is the discounted cash flows and what percentage is the terminal value?
Okay. As you could see in the, I don't know if you can see the pointer, each of that part of the price, it's like a percentage of the total share value of Bioceres. Okay. So between the behind the 86% equity value represented by only the whole business of Bioceres, most like $8.81 are represented by the terminal value discounted to up to the date.
The free cash flow years goes for how many years?
From 2023 to 2027.
5 years.
Okay. So a lot of the value of Bioceres is like a kind of depends on really an option on their success, future success, and maintaining that terminal growth, really, right?
Yeah, that terminal growth and keeping the same discounted rate that we use as the assumption here in the sensitivity analysis.
Okay. Did you do any comparison of Bioceres R&D and investment compared to other peers, given that the sector they are involved?
Okay, yeah, we did a comparison between Bioceres and Marron Bio, which we believe that that's one of the main points of our actual of our whole value of Bioceres, because we believe that there is a possible synergy between R&D from Bioceres in Argentina and Marron in or ProFarm, now called, in the United States. So we reduced we took the assumption, I believe it's, okay, no, we have here so only SG&E that will like try to tend to.
In terms of R&D, we do the comparison. It's very difficult sometimes compare R&D because in Argentina there are a few companies with we report IFRS. A lot of companies of this type report with use gap, and there are use gap has more pressure in the P&L between IFRS. But Bioceres has a strategy and buzzword like a research and development company. So it's constantly invest in R&D and is the heart of the company.
Could you show again the addressable market you mentioned, I think, in one of the previous slides? And how did you estimate that? I think it was before this one. Yeah.
There.
It's only HB4.
Terminan los 10 minutos, disculpen. Nuevamente les pido perdón a todos, pero son 10 minutos para cada uno. Muy bien, chicos.
Thank you.
Los micrófonos, esto. Veo si se pasan y invitan al siguiente equipo a pasar. Les pido disculpas, parece muy